Welcome to another episode of Buy Stuff, Make Stuff. Today we'll actually turn a part on the Rapid Turn. It's just going to be the test part, or first part they call it, in the manual. And we actually found a glitch on that, so it was kind of frustrating because you see, you compare the diagram in the manual and your screen, and can't find anything wrong, but fortunately I found a little bit of a backup in this on CNC Zone. I saw there's a thread where somebody else was having the same problem. So as of this recording, it's not fixed. We'll go through the workaround and go from there. So let's get started. We're going to start by putting in our 3.5 inch long piece of 1 inch stock. I already have the right collet in here, so we'll just slide that in. It says to leave 2 inches sticking out. Approximately, you don't have to be real close on that. Tighten it up. All right, when I tighten it up, I lock it, but you gotta remember to unlock it. Otherwise, the belt makes a nasty squealing noise. All right, for this test, we'll be using a turning and facing tool on the right and a parting tool on the left. All right, we're gonna put our turning facing tool in the tool holder. All right, first thing we're gonna do is get the y-axis squared away. So we're going to bring the part close to the tool holder, or tool actually, and then we're going to eyeball it to try to get right in the middle with that y-axis. All right, I think that's pretty good. All right, then we type in 0.000 in the path pilot. All right, and the Y, actually 0 is just fine. All right. Next, we're going to set the work offsets by touching off the material, or touching off the tool. All right, so we're going to jog this up in the X direction. Go to the offsets tab. We'll set this one up as tool 3. Now this one already has a tool 3 in there, so we're going to reset the tool. And we pick the right hand face turn tool, face/turn tool. Now we're going to touch off the Z-axis. So actually, let's do the X-axis first. Bring it over the part a little bit. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of paper, measure the thickness, or really a piece of paper of known thickness. Most of them are, somewhere in the 3 to 4 thousandths range. My piece is 3.9 thousandths. And we're going to measure the outside diameter of the part. coming up with 1.0039. All right, so what we do with this paper measurement, or piece of paper, is put it between the tool. Actually, first let's bring down the tool real close. Okay, and then we'll put the piece of paper between the tool holder and slowly go down until it catches. That's good. Okay, and that gives us our X diameter touch-off spot. Now what you have to do is take the measured diameter of the piece, add 2 times the thickness of the paper, because with a lathe it works in diameters, not radiuses or radii. So 1.0039 plus 0.078. 1.0117. So we put that in here. 1.0117. Enter once, enter a second time to get the green LED illuminated. And now we can touch off the Z-axis in much the same way. All right. Same theory. Part close. Throw a piece of paper in there. And do the scroll wheel if you have the jog accessory. Okay, now we're pretty tight there. Now here you don't have to double the thickness of the paper. Just go in here and put 0.0039, the thickness of the paper. Enter, and then enter again. So, all right, so we have the turning tool touched off, and we're ready to touch off the parting tool. And this is where we have some discrepancy between the directions and Path Pilot. So we got that in the holder. We're going to change this to tool 4. And I already had something in there, so we're going to hit reset tool and select the parting tool. Now we'll do the same thing we did before. We'll touch off on the x-axis. some different ways to do this that I think are a little bit more accurate, but we'll just follow the directions at this point. There we go. Now, again, we do the diameter plus the 2 times the thickness of the paper for the X. So that was 1.0117. Enter, enter. There, we're good to go there. Now we touch off the Z. Do the same thing to touch off the Z. Someday I'll get this jogging thing right. Alright, bring the Z close in. Jog the rest of the way, or not jog, scroll. There we go. Again, just enter the thickness of the paper, 0.0039. Touch Z, enter, enter. And we should be good to go. Now we'll run into trouble in the conversational, and we'll deal with how to address that when we get there. So first thing we do is we're gonna start by facing the part. So we'll go to conversational. We'll call it bushing 1, like they say in the manual. And so here's the end goal. We're going to face the part, turn the 1 inch down to 3/4 inch over the entire 1.5 inches, and then we're going to turn the first 1.25 inches down to 1/2 inch and chamfer the edge with a 50/1000 break, and then we're going to part the part off. It's kind of weird nomenclature, but so click on the face tab, make sure you have the right tool. So -0.1, initial X 1.0039. Z start at 0, Z end at -0.1. So we're going to face. So we're going to face 1/10 of an inch off the end. We have everything right here. Okay. So we're going to post this to file. Bushing 1.nc save. So I've already done this one, so I'm going to overwrite it. Here we go. Here's the G code. And one thing we should do is make sure our set G30, which is, I don't know what the technical term is. I think it's a tool change position. You probably want to, first time you probably want to set the G30 instead of just hitting go to G30, because if you don't know where it's set, you could run the tool into the part or the machine and have to, either scrap the part, buy new tools, or and probably have to reset some of the alignment. So good to be careful. We know where the G30 is on set on this machine, so we're going to go there. All right, so we're going to face this. just to be sure, I run this max velocity down to 0%. And what that does is basically gives slows everything down so that you can kind of ease it up, make sure you're not going to crash into anything. Kind of gives you a chance to make sure that the initial settings in the program are right. So we'll get that down to 0, hit cycle start, and it wants us to make sure that okay, so it wants to make sure we have tool 3 in there. The cycle starts flashing, T3 is flashing, and we have it in there. So we'll hit the cycle start again. It's coming down. Yep, I think we're good there. Goes back to G30, and we're good to go. All right, so let's keep programming this. So next thing we are going to do is the OD turning. So we'll go back to the conversational, OD turn, same tool, tool 3, and put in the information from the instruction manual. So Z end minus 1.6. Initial X is the 1.0039. Final X 0.75. No fillet radius. Z start at -1 because the Z start's going to be at -1 because we faced it 1/10 of an inch. And tool clearance, we have 0.1, 5 thousandths and 20 thousandths. Okay, should be good to go. So what we'll do here is append to file. That just adds it to the G code we already have. Alright, so we'll do the next operation, which will be to turn it down to a 1/2 inch for the first 1 1/4. Will actually be 1.15 the way they have it in the manual. Back to the conversational. Z end is going to be -1. 1.25. Initial X is going to be 3/4 of an inch because we already turned it down. Final X is going to be 1/2 inch. Fillet radius, nothing. Z start, yep, -0.1, that makes sense. Okay, everything else should be already set. Let's append this to file. All right. We'll add a little chamfer to the end. So we'll do that with tool 3. Not 31. 3. Okay, Z start, -0.1, Z end, -0.15, with the 1/2 inch diameter of the end, and the 45-degree chamfer. These are all right. Now these are set in there already because, like I said before, I've already run the program, so it just is already in there. All right, we're going to append that to the file. Okay. Last thing we're going to do is the parting of the tool, or of the part. Parting of the part. So we'll go to tool 4. And we'll groove the cut. Make sure this is set to part. Tool 4. Initial X is 039. Final X 0 because we want to cut it off. The Z start is minus 1.6. Surface feet per minute 400. Okay. So that should be good. We'll append this to file. And it gives us an error. This is what I was talking about before. The X and Z inputs call for orientation 2. The tool table orientation for T4 is 1. And the only way around this I see is going in here, changing this from tooltip 1 to tooltip 2. Or, yeah, the orientation. I don't know if it's tooltip. What do they call it here? Yeah, this one from on tool 4 from 1 to 2. All right, so then we just kind of come back here and just hit enter through those, and then we're going to hit append to file, and it will let us do it. Okay, so there's our part. Let's get some coolant pointed at this. And let's run it. It's going to go through the first part, which is the first facing, which is the part that we've already done. So it's going to do nothing, or it's going to be cutting nothing for the first part of the program. But after that, it'll be do the rest. All right. Again, I'm not confident enough, so I'm going to bring the max velocity down to 0 when I start. So I'm going to hit cycle start. And we're going to bring it up just until, all right, there we go. Yep. So it should be good. Still haven't quite figured out the parting tool workaround perfectly, because I mean, as you can see, that's a little bit it's got a little bit of a flange on it. All right, there's our test part. Still some things I need to figure out on this machine, mostly to do with the parting. I'm not sure if it shows here, but I'm getting a little bit of a convex shape there, and fairly poor quality of cut. The finish left on the stock is pretty nice finish, but it's got a noticeable concave quality to it, which obviously matches with the convex quality of the part. So, well, that does it for this episode of Buy Stuff, Make Stuff. Glad we finally got a part turned. I don't really want to get into the carnage that was my learning curve up till now, and I still have a lot to learn. But now I'm excited to get some more parts made on both the RapidTurn and the 1100. Coming up soon, we'll be installing modular fixturing, a big plate for the bed of the machine, and a plate to attach the RapidTurn to the new plate, and it moves the RapidTurn over a little bit out of the way. Then we can leave it on there for hopefully most of the time, and also an attachment for our vise. Big deal here is that you can take the vise off, take the RapidTurn off, and put them back right in the same spot with very good repeatability. Well, thanks for joining us. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments or suggestions for mistakes I made in the video or anything like that, please leave them below. All right, thanks.